Hello, magical people. Renee Massey here. I am so excited to be talking about the eclipse because, oh boy, the energy is so strong. And I'm sure that you can feel it. I'm sure you can feel the heightened. Yes. Of course, it's Mercury retrograde. And as soon as I hop on, my phone is doing a funky little thing. Yes, we're going to talk about some things. I really wanted to be live today so that I could share some really critical components to this particular eclipse and all of the things that are going to be coming through because there is a big difference between a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. And so we had the solar eclipse in Aquarius a couple of weeks ago, and now tomorrow morning, brace yourselves, we have the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, solar eclipses are here to shift your trajectory. You are going to step into a different way of life. There could be a completely different direction that, just kind of like merges with your lane. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like everything is changing. Some things are being taken away, some things are being added. But overall, it looks like something very new is taking shape in your life. And what I always guide my clients to look at to see exactly how this is going to show up is I really want you looking at your birth chart so that you can see the exact house that particular sign is in. So that way you can connect with where that moon is traveling through your own chart. So if I look at my chart during the solar eclipse in Aquarius, that was in house number one. So that is house of self. The way I can see the lunar eclipse in Virgo affecting my chart is in my eighth house, because in my eighth house of my own personal chart, that is exactly where Virgo sits. So when we look at where the houses are, I had a couple of client sessions earlier today, and it's like we could see exactly where this was going to be showing up for them. And I asked her, I was like, tell me, do you feel like there have been some revelations and things like coming, like these epiphanies, these breakthroughs that are showing up in this particular house for you because of how this house functions? And she was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like I can completely see how this is getting completely reworked in my life right now. And that is the difference. Like there is a very, very big difference between how that solar eclipse energy is coming through and the lunar eclipse. So I just said solar eclipse is going to set you on a new path in a new direction, is going to possibly add some new things in. It's going to look different, right? It's going to look different. Then the lunar eclipse wants to help something be revealed. And the interesting part about this big reveal is that it usually comes in the form of emotions. Anything that has to do with the moon is going to have some emotion. It's going to be an emotional current. Okay. There are instincts, memories, intuition, all of this kind of like feminine energy that comes into play when we are talking about the moon, but very specifically emotional stuff. So, lunar eclipses kick up emotional energy so that you can see and things can be revealed to you. Where do I need to let go? What what cycle is completing itself right now? And if we really look at that, I want you to go back to where you were in September of 2025. What was showing up for you in September of 2025? What were you working on? What new things were taking shape in your life? And I want you to just really step back and look at that. Go through your pictures in your phone. If you're like, I have no idea what I was doing in September of 2025, I want you to go through your phone and look at your pictures just to see the kinds of things that you were doing in September of 2025 and how those things impacted you. Because this right now, what we are releasing is a cycle of completion that is related to something that began in September of 2025. And then if you want to get more specific, you will look at the house that it shows up in your birth chart. There are a couple of really interesting factors that I want to talk about in regards to this particular lunar eclipse. This is a total blood moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. So we know that a lot of emotions, we know that it's going to be, it can feel very charged. It can also feel dense. It can feel heavy. It can feel like a lot of different things. It really just depends on what it is that you're going through right now. But understand that in order to get you more clear, in order to get you on a very clear direction and where you can start taking steps forward in that direction, there are things that have to be removed, released, observed, witnessed, processed. Like there's so many different things that this could look like for you. But just know that there will be an emotional component to it. It can be shadow work, it can be inner child work, it can be processing the experience that you've had with other relationships and other situations that started last year. When it comes to Virgo, this is where, like, we're also kind of fine tuning here when we're looking at the sign of Virgo, because that's where the lunar eclipse is going to show up. What does Virgo mean? How is that particular sign going to impact this particular eclipse? Okay, Virgo. It is the sixth sign of the zodiac, and it governs wisdom. It is also very about conscientiousness, hospitality, service, health, fitness. Anything that has to do with self-improvement is going to be found in the realm of Virgo. Virgo is a mutable earth sign, and Virgos love to feel grounded. They love to feel like they can be of service. They take their responsibilities and whatever their duties are very seriously. And it's because they have like this really powerful earth, goddessy kind of wisdom coming through them. My oldest daughter is also a Virgo, so I can see how this is also taking shape within her life, because if you are a Virgo, which I see, hello, Miss Noreen, you are a Virgo. So I could see how anybody who was born under the sign of Virgo, this is going to probably feel pretty intense for you. The sun and the moon are in complete opposition to each other right now, with the earth in between both of them. And so with that being said, there is an opposition where these energies are pulling on each other, okay? Virgo wants this conscientious, detailed, meticulous experience. And the reason why they are so particular and orderly is because they want there to be like a really cohesive flow to everything that's happening. One of the other things is that Virgo is ruled by Mercury. We are in a Mercury retrograde right now, and Mercury retrograde is in the sign of Pisces, which is exactly opposite of Virgo. So we've got the sun in Pisces. We've got Mars at 0 degrees of Pisces. We also, there's like all of these things that are going on in Pisces right now. Then we've got the moon in Virgo. And I think it's the only thing that is really hanging out in Virgo right now. And so because of that, there is like this spotlight. There is all of this energy that is pointing to this particular moon. And it's saying like, it is time to harness your wisdom. And even though Virgos love perfection and they love their details and they love order and they love everything to be meticulously placed, this is also a really great time to observe where you are trying to take on too much control, where you might be extra focused on perfectionism and having everything just right, and really allowing yourself to not source your power through that perfection, but actually sourcing it through your wisdom, through your experiences, through heart-centeredness. The part of the body that rules the Virgo is the stomach. You may know, actually, that's so funny. I have to tell Kira, my daughter, she was saying this morning how she felt super nauseous and her stomach was really bothering her. So I feel like that is really important for her to know now, because she is a Virgo and we are in the eclipse portal. So the part of the body that is ruled by Virgo is the stomach. You might notice some stomach discomfort. You might notice nausea. You might feel like there is just like this, I don't know, this unsettled feeling in your gut right now. And so don't let it rattle you. Don't let it shake you up. This is the time for grounding. Okay. And I also want to say that in eclipses, lunar eclipses, we do not do the traditional work of letting our crystals bathe in the moonlight. We do not do candle work. We don't do moon water, things like that that we would normally do, or that I would normally recommend during the full moon. That is not actually what we do during a lunar eclipse. but you can work with water. I would say that the earth and water, those are two really, really strong elements to be supporting you during this portal. Because what your body is probably wanting is to feel more grounded and to feel more secure in your body. I know that if I am dealing with, like just digestive upset or I'm feeling nauseous and any type of tummy trouble that you might be experiencing, really does make me feel very ungrounded. It's almost like to the point where it's like I can't really think because I'm so focused on how I feel. Because honestly, if you have a really strong feeling of nausea, it kind of like goes throughout your entire body. And so when we're thinking about that, what we want to do is we want to anchor our energy in something that is solid and supportive to our journey. Because as you have different emotions that are coming through and things that you are noticing that are being revealed to you, the best way to deal with that is to get really grounded in the earth. And because Virgo is an earth sign, this is a perfect opportunity to do that really amazing earthing. And so, what I like to do if I am really needing grounding is you want to work with your darker colored crystals. So, black tourmaline, obsidian, jet. What else am I not saying? And I'm thinking of because I love my black stones and there are so many of them. And I will get off of this and I will be like, why didn't you think of that? But smoky quartz, like any of your darker stones, they are very, very, very grounding to you, and very supportive to help you release anything that could be holding you back, anything that is of a negative vibration. Also, protecting yourself from picking up on anybody else's stuff because of this heightened energy and so many different things that are going on right now, just in our energetic climate. There's a lot going on, guys. And so, grounding ourselves is a really, really important thing. What I want you to do, whether you have the crystals or you don't have the crystals, like the earthing part is so important. So, I want you to just like stand firmly. You can stand in your house, you can stand outside. I live in Florida. We can stand outside because we are in the upper 70s today. However, if you are in where I am from, which is New England or any place up north right now where you have been dealing with frigid temperatures, you do not need to go outside. You can simply do this in your home. Get yourself in just a location of the house that feels really grounding for you. And I want you to anchor your feet in the floor and just imagine that there are roots growing out of your feet and they are going all the way down, all the way down, all the way down into the core of the earth and feel that connection there. Connect with our Earth Mother, connect with the energy of Gaia, and allow her to tether in to the soles of your feet as well. It's like you can feel the energy going down, 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 all the way into the core of Mother Earth, but you can also feel her reaching up to support you. And allow that to be there. Allow that energy to come up through the soles of your feet, working all the way up through your base chakra, into your lower chakras, into your heart space, and then all the way up through your crown and all the way up into the infinite. And this is a really great way to like tether us between these two worlds from the as above and so below. Because sometimes when we're in this like emotional shift and you can feel the tectonic plates of your life moving around, the most important thing for you to do is to feel safe and secure. And I know that when things start shifting around like this, one of the first things that we really want to do is we try to get control. I need to have control. I need to grasp. I need to resist. I need to grip. I need to hold this tighter. None of that is going to help you in this particular situation. There is no amount of gripping or control that is going to change the outcome of this. So the best thing for you to do is to ground and then be in the flow state. And sometimes just taking a really nice long shower or taking a bath can also really help you release some of those excessive energies that might be building up. So it's like when you're in the bath or you're in the shower, I want you to just imagine as the water is coming down over you, or the water is just over you, that you are imagining it cleansing and releasing or transmuting anything within you that is not a part of the future you. Because I think a lot of times we're like, okay, what am I doing now? And where do I, like, we're just trying to get to the next thing, right? We're always just trying to get to the next thing. And sometimes it can be very difficult, especially in a heightened emotional state, to see the big picture and to imagine that there is a future self in 6 months, a year, 5 years, stuff like that. But there is a future self. There is a future version of you in 6 months from now, in a year from now, in 5 years from now. And I want you to think about that person. I want you to think about what she desires, what she is craving, what she needs, like, and then work backwards, reverse engineer that. Like, what do I have to let go of within myself so I can actualize the manifestation of this embodiment, this future self embodiment? What does she need to step into her highest potential? What am I still holding on to that does not serve that version of who I am? Because it just doesn't fit. So, a lot of the times when we're working on manifesting our new reality, manifesting our future, and the things that we desire to be magnetized in our lives throughout our present and our future, we can get very lost in some of the details about, like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. But I want you to think about this. Who do I need to be? Who do I need to be to magnetize this stuff into my life? Who do I need to be strong enough to let go of this stuff that I've been holding on to? Because whether we like it or not, come hell or high water, this stuff is getting shifted, it's getting moved, and we are in a transition phase. It can be easy, it can be hard. And we've heard people say that, like, we could do this the easy way, we could do this the hard way. If you want to do it the hard way, that will be the gripping, the controlling, the digging in of your heels, and then making very ego centered declarations about what you don't want and what you do want. But to find a higher alignment of what is actually meant for you and what is actually going to serve your highest potential in the future, this is where we have to put on our big girl and big boy pants, because it requires discernment and maturity. And that is a huge theme of Virgo energy. You might feel like your head is spinning and your body is spinning in the opposite direction. And I do believe that that is a very, 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 very strong contribution of Mercury retrograde in Pisces right now. We've got Mercury that is against another, not against, I don't want to say against, that's not the right word, in opposition to a sign that is ruled by Mercury. Okay. So Mercury is in opposition of itself at this point. And what that means is that we have to pay very close attention to how we are thinking, what we are believing, what we allow ourselves to identify with. And that also means the roles that we are taking on in our lives, what we are speaking into manifestation. Your words are spells, being very, very, very discerning of how you speak, what you say, who you talk about, what you talk about, who you are spilling the tea with, guys. Like, be very careful of gossip and drama and saying things out of frustration, anger, lashing out, any of those things, because they're not the real true version of who you are. Just flat out, these are not the real true versions of who you are. The real true versions of who you are, it is very deep. It is such a beautiful and divine human that lives within you, that has the capability of doing so many things that are far beyond what you have perceived in your own self-limiting beliefs. And so a lot of that can get churned up in this particular kind of cycle as well. You have been awakened to a new path and a new journey. Now, in order to continue that journey and to feel into how it's going to manifest over time, we now have to put the microscope on some of the harder stuff that holds us back, our mindset, our identity, how we go about things, what we truly believe about ourselves and what we are capable of doing. Because in my experience, there's a lot of times that we think a lot of really like strong things, like, I know I can do anything. I know I'm worth all of this. I know I'm deserving of this stuff. And then at the same time, none of it is embodied. The feeling in your body is different than the way your brain is thinking. So your mind and your ego are taking you in one direction. Your body is taking you in a completely different direction. And so that can be a very disembodied reality. And that can feel like, I know this about myself, but why can I not actually lock it into my body? And that is an embodiment issue. This means that I have really great ideas about life and I have really great ideas about who I can be in this life, but I haven't been able to actually anchor myself into it because there's something in my nervous system that doesn't actually believe that that's true. And so that's where the identity work has to come in. This is where the wisdom is going to support you. Is it really true that you can't do this? Is it really true that you can't be this? Or is this just a conditioned story that you have told yourself along a programmed narrative for many, many years? This is why lunar eclipses end up being challenging sometimes. We think that full moons can be challenging. A lunar eclipse is a full moon on steroids. Okay. So it is revealing something to you. It is showing you where the work needs to happen in order for you to anchor into the awakened energy that got kicked up during the solar eclipse 2 weeks ago. Mercury in retrograde is going to play some tricks on your mind. And it's not that Mercury retrograde is this deceptive transit. It's really the fact that most of us don't take the time to really go deeper with our minds in our life experience because so many things are rudimentary and so many times because we're on autopilot, life has a certain rhythm to it. There are certain patterns and routines that you are very good at following. And all of a sudden, when it kind of feels like the rug is being pulled out from underneath you, you get frustrated because the normalcy of the routine is no longer available for you. But instead of actually asking yourself, why do I need this routine? Why do I need these patterns? Why do I need this normalcy in my life? We just react to it and we get upset and then lash out and project onto other people in our environment rather than going within and asking ourselves, what do I really need right now? What is going to serve me in the long run? What can I step into right now for myself that is going to support this journey for the next 6 months? Because when you do step into solar eclipse energy, it does last for 6 months. So that means that whatever you started feeling taking shape over the last couple of weeks is going to last until 6 months from now. Okay. So it's going to be a very interesting unfolding of events, but oftentimes we don't feel like we're in the driver's seat because of the emotional current. Emotions are just emotions. Okay. It doesn't mean that your emotions don't matter, it doesn't mean that they are invalid, but there's also a moment in time where you get to actually kind of like step away from your emotional layer and say like, okay, what is the difference between this and that? Those emotions are chaotic. They are kind of unraveling. They feel stuck. They feel like they're scattered. They can feel difficult. They can feel dense, heavy, hard. They can also feel like I just can't stop crying. Whatever it is, you've got to start asking yourself some more questions about how I got here and what I need to do for myself to keep moving forward. Life doesn't stop. Life doesn't stop. The clock doesn't stop. Life doesn't stop. The clouds in the sky keep drifting. The sun is still rising and setting. All of these things are still happening while, you can choose or not choose to do the work. But I find that doing the work will always, even though sometimes the work is really difficult, the work will get you where you want to be. Working through difficult emotions will push you back because you don't like the way it feels as you're moving through them. And so it kind of feels like an electric fence, right? Like you start feeling, okay, I'm going to start working through this. And then you're like, no, I can't touch that. I can't go through that. I don't want to feel that again. I don't want to know what that's like again. I don't want to think about that. And then we shove it down and we shove it down and we shove it down. And then what it does is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of why you can't do something, why you can't get to where you want to be and be who you want to be, because you are allowing the old stories to continue to drive the narrative about what is and what is not possible for you. Okay. So this is all the very important stuff that has to do with this particular lunar eclipse that is going to peak. If you are in the Eastern time zone, that is going to peak between 6 and 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you're on the Pacific coast, it's actually going to peak at 3:33 a.m., which is what I think is so interesting because it's like The eclipse is on 3/3, and if you were to look at Pacific time, it's 3:33 AM. Hello, Miss Candy. And isn't that crazy though? Like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So the other thing about the threes is the fact that is the number for transformation. Okay. That is the number of birth, death, rebirth. It is all about transformation. Threes are so symbolic, not in just like one culture or one spiritual modality, but in all cultures across the world have found significance with the number three. Where I'm actually going to be leading this journey, some of you have already, you know this, some of you do not. I'm going to France in October. I'm going to the Magdalene Caves. I am hosting a retreat there, and it's so, I don't even have a word for it. I've actually been really struggling to find words to describe how I feel about this opportunity that fell into my lap because it is a collaboration. I was invited to host this particular trip, and I have been wanting to go on this trip for years. So the fact that it is here, I can't even express how grateful I am. But I have been on a journey with Mary Magdalene for since late 2022. I had to look back in my journals to see like when like all of this really started for me. And so I went back into my journals and I saw that it was December of 2022 where I was really talking about like this co-creation, this pilgrimage, this devotional journey that I have with Mary Magdalene. And I am actually going to be sharing that journey on YouTube. So tomorrow will be the first unveiling of we are going to go through the 7 powers of the ego. The significance of the 7 powers of the ego is something that Jesus supported Mary Magdalene with, meaning she was not a penitent prostitute. She was not anything that they painted her out to be. She is the feminine Christ, and she holds the feminine principle of that Christ. And she is what I have devoted this entire year to. I find it really interesting because in my priestesshood, I connect with a particular being and then I do a deep dive and I go all in and I feel like that person just has to be like my best friend. We are best friends and I have to know everything about you and I have to learn everything about who you are, who you were, what you stood for, how you journeyed through your own life and through your own spiritual and human based, like all of that, like the divinity, the humanity. That is the true symbol of the cross to me. It is not about sin. It is not about suffering. It is about the full human experience through the lens of divinity and love. And so that is the journey with Mary Magdalene. And I'm going to be going through the 7 powers of the ego that she released upon working with Jesus. And her journey with her self-actualization, her humanity, her divinity, her love, because this is a journey about love. And I find it really interesting because in all of the things that we talk about mindset, we talk about manifestation, we talk about healing. But you know what I realized in the 20 freaking 7 years that I have been doing this work? Love itself does not come up that often. And I am not talking about romantic love. Of course, it can be romantic love, but I am talking about the kind of love that is so pure, so deep, so expansive in ways that it's hard to define with words, but I will. Like I'm going to share this journey. So for each month up until I go to France in October, we are going to be focusing on a very specific power. And we start tomorrow with the power of darkness. And these are all egoic powers, meaning all of these are connected to the framework of the ego. And these are the things that essentially hold our humanity and our divinity back because we impose these self-limitations upon ourselves. They probably had a lot of help getting there, but the other people who have been a part of the conditioning, the programming, the wounding, whatever it is, now you have to set yourself free. You have to release yourself. You have to look within yourself to access that Christ-like consciousness, that divinity, the God self, the love, and actually let that be the biggest part of who you are and let that be illuminated from within you and shine through. And that to me is the ultimate journey. And I believe that too was Jesus's journey. I don't think that his journey was about sin. I don't think that his journey was about suffering. I believe that his journey wholeheartedly was about living the anthropos, which is the full human and divine experience, and sharing that in love with another person. One is the masculine, one is the feminine, and we all hold them within ourselves. So, what we are going to be bridging with is a journey that takes probably the rest of the year. And I'm going to be doing that on YouTube only. My videos, my personal experience, my pilgrimage, the raw material that comes through me during this time frame, everything is coming through on YouTube. So, and it's completely free. I'm not charging anybody for this, okay? So this is a massive, massive, massive transition that we are going through right now. Things will not look the same. I can tell you that right now. They are not going to look the same. And for those of you who feel like you are on a journey of love, like pure love, divine love, really embodying love within yourself, not because you want to meet somebody, not because you want to make something happen, but just because you truly want to know what it feels like to love yourself from within. And I just wonder, because I've seen it in my own life. So I don't really have to wonder for myself, but I do wonder for other people who want to be a part of this journey with me, how much is going to change, metamorphosize, transition, and be reshaped through the heart, through this lens of love on your life, on your spirit, on the world, just everything. And it's time for that. It is really, 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 really time for that. So I feel it so, 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 so viscerally in my spirit to bring this forward. And so that will begin tomorrow. Okay. So if anybody has any questions about all of this, please, please DM me. Other than that, I have a 6-month spot open and I have a 12-month spot open in my coaching container. And we are doing, oh my God, the things that are happening with my coaching clients right now is absolutely phenomenal. And even though all of this shit is getting flipped upside down in so many different ways where it's like, wait, what? Where am I going? What is happening? Who am I? They are navigating it because of the expertise that I have regarding astrology and human design and my psychic abilities and mediumship and working with our guides and working with the planets and working with love and working with the inner authenticity that when you access that, you are irresistible. You are irresistible to your desires. You are irresistible to the magnitude of what is possible in limitless nature. Okay? So, with all of that being said, I am done. Enjoy this eclipse. Enjoy it. Love yourself. Embody the most true meaning of love that you possibly can for yourself and watch how things unfold differently from that perspective, because things unfold very, very differently from a state of love versus a state of this should be happening. I want this to happen. This is my goal. This should have already happened by now. Why is this not working for me? I have to go back and do more healing. What the hell? Like there is so much resistance and kickback on the energy because we're like, why am I here? Why was this happening? But if you actually have a very strong guide to support you in navigating this, it looks very different. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy the energy. Mwah.